And I'm like,
You're trying to be more interactive than the
game will be
Yeah.
potentially early on. Astralis and Vanir, you have failed to live up to your Viking roots in history and have...
You know, I actually discovered that I have a Viking drinking horn today.
You do?
We moved a lot of stuff out
rediscovered.
with us when we moved countries here to cast the NLC. On days like this, on games like this, I wonder if I wonder if I should have brought something to go in the drinking horn.
Water, clearly. Nothing else would
Stay hydrated out there.
Be
It's been a hot
hydrated,
weekend.
people.
It's been a very hot weekend.
That was a very, you know, intense opening to the Rift there with a little bit of stinger music going on.
all downhill from
Congratulations,
here.
production. It's very pretty, but I feel it's a little bit against what we were expecting in this game because we have got Ezreal Victor Gangplank versus Gnar, Corki, and Zeri with a Tahm Kench. This is like non-interaction the draft.
Yeah, so I would like to put a message, a psychic message through the airwaves.
Do it. How did you do that, by the way?
Well, it's not a power that the it's not something that the Jedi would tell you. That's what I was going for.
I see that.
You know, it is a power it's a great responsibility to have this power. But I'm going to, you know, psychically message Zaremba as the one person. Zaremba, you are our only hope. Please be the most sociopathic player I have ever seen and just hook on cooldown. Okay. That would be the only way to save this game. I know you're into a
This is the way.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, now do that a million times more, and it could be an okay game.
I'm just going to say this right now as well. You said it was the only hope, and this is episode 4. This is game 4.
True.
It's all lining up.
Okay.
Now, what I need is for there to be some sort of Death Star equivalent here. Probably the Chaos Storm, let's be real, where I can yell, "That's no moon," as someone dies. There's no Diana for the moon to fall in that kind of regards, but I've got to find some other references, perhaps.
We will try our best. So, I mean, speaking
We'll
of
follow
that,
your
Victor,
career with great interest, is where you could have gone with that, but your Star Wars meme game is weak.
Is that really what we're getting to?
Yes.
I mean,
Look, yes, it is. Of course it is. What did you think? Who is casting this game?
Sam, it's okay. I was about to say, well, let the Wukong win. Is that as close to let the Wookiee win as we can get? So, it's better than I can do.
Yeah, it's
much better than I can do. So, mid lane is actually one of the few... I know Victor Corki has kind of been memed on. Ironically, it's one of the most active control mage matchups that we've seen in the last couple of years. Particularly in this preseason into early season, we saw a lot of LPL teams. Particularly Knight was very good at this matchup, and killing Corki at like level 2, level 3. Actually, pre-6, Victor has a really good way of dealing with Corki, where you have level 3. If you actually, in this point, you've leveled up your death ray 2 times just for the extra poke. But once you get to that level 4, you get the gravity field. If Corki steps up and you get to take a hard trade and force him to Valkyrie on one wave,
Action.
use it a second time to force action. Oh. See, this is why I carried on. Anyway, right. Crux has flash. Sankux looks safe for now.
Oh.
We shouldn't have got our hopes up, Sam.
I lived
That's
in
the
hope.
lesson that I learned.
It was a new one, but the Empire of Nothing struck back.
This is almost as dreadful as the game. Almost.
Maybe we need to return the Jedi Puffs.
Okay, I'll give you that one. That's okay. That was a joke in 3 parts. Third part just about makes it work out. But either way, we are now looking at, effectively after this point, where these junglers are going to interact, because when you have stable lanes, it is largely about, okay, the micro advantages you can get to see where these junglers can end up after this point. Actually, interesting thing happening towards the top river. Carlson might just be warding out. I was actually wondering if you had enough time to take that scuttle, but the wave wasn't in the correct place for that. I wasn't actually tracking those minions over there. Those fat champion pictures, hiding the minions on the minimap. But with the extra vision there, I think Astralis Town potentially could be looking for a double scuttle, and that's about as active as we're going to get in this early game.
Oh, this wasn't the bot simulator I was looking for. See with attacks and runs into Kroos. We're going to have a little bit of fighting. My days. This is actually action briefly. Just half a HP bar and a scuttle crab that's being traded forward. Kroos can't quite get in range for the smite, and Taxa secures that one. In fact, both scuttle crabs secured by the Wukong. Indeed, the Wookiee did win.
Are we blind? Deploy the support roams. I mean, Serap's helping.
Really? You said Rogue One puns a man of your talent?
We were this close to greatness. Zaremba,
Where
it's
are we
going
with
on
this
his-
round? I think we're quite a long way from greatness.
Shut up, let's talk about the game. Zaremba, move from bot lane, move to, towards that top scuttle. I think that was the right move. Sadly, wasn't in the right place to actually secure that scuttle, and now Wukong has a micro advantage for now. And we'll go back to clearing their own jungle camps, and we are in a dreadfully low point in this game, as we saw.
Alex,
Yes, hello.
it's time.
It's time
What
for
you
what?
have to understand, people, is that this is what we call the podcast section of the game. We have probably got
Right.
about 3.5 minutes until someone probably
We have
fights around a herald.
and that's about it.
Yeah, so we've got time to fill. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna start a topic, and we're gonna riff on that for 2 minutes while we watch relaxing sights of people farming on the Rift.
Well, okay. Dragon's been taken. Okay, that's something interesting. It's not going to be contested, so we don't get to talk about the topic Stormer. Well, you know, a lot of you today will notice we've gone on a certain theme of things.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not ashamed to admit that, I would love to, a lot of people have dreams of, I've made it in life when I have this.
Yes.
For me, I have 2 goals. One is having a hot tub at some point. The other one is having a really nice lightsaber. I really want a proper lightsaber. Oh, come on. Is Carlson actually going to ignore?
Oh, my days.
No, he's not.
Okay, fine.
So, there's that. Obviously, we've been playing.
Right, so I knew about the lightsaber because you've been
Yeah.
like looking for like awesome lightsabers to buy. I did not know about the hot tub bit. When does that be?
Okay, would you say that you don't want a hot tub?
I mean, I want a hot tub. It just wasn't like,
Well, there you go.
it wasn't
That
like,
seems as
top
simple
of my
as it
list of
gets.
dreams.
I can't really spell this out anymore for you, Sam. I want a hot tub.
Okay, well, you'll know Nymera has decided to succeed when there's a hot tub picture coming up. What I will do as well, let's have a look at the hashtag NLC at home, and we have got somebody who is playing both sides. Hanivai, I think I pronounced that right.
Yes.
I apologize. Has got the outfits, the team jerseys of both teams playing
And
here.
you see, it just so happens that I know Hanivai, and I know that they are a Larson fan. They're not in this game, but I'd like to shout that out and let the world know that this person has an unhealthy attachment to that player. As much as they're a great player,
little bit of background of, like, diss is going on, but that is a...
I mean, do I really have a standing to say on when I have my Ari bits? I have all of my Ari skits around. I'm like, haha. I say this in jest. It's great to see this kind of passion for the teams.
Absolutely.
It's great to see this passion for the teams.
This is basically
those of you
what
who are
happens.
sat at home and you do have a certain attachment to these teams, absolutely let us know. It's great to see, especially within our region, which has been, it gets a little isolated at times.
Ooh, flash out of
Sam,
Hess0
we're
there.
not allowed to have actions.
I mean, no. We got a flash. That's the best we've got. And again, this is the kind of game where clearly people's loyalties are being torn between both sides. It's mom and dad fighting. It's that situation. It's what happens when Nymera watches the Telecom
Wars, yes.
Because Aria plays for KT.
My favorite player, yes.
And T1 was the team that really got you into League of Legends.
My favorite team, yes.
So watching
painful
those fight is like
pretend
torture
I
on the
do
soul.
not see it. I just want both teams to do well. Well, both teams are actually turning up for the first time.
Have we got action? 8.5 minutes in. Flash hook. Is this it? Have we finally got something? It's a clone.
And that's the gravity field down. So now
Clone Wars
they
have
don't
begun.
have the zoning tools. Can they stay in the river, waiting for that extra hook? Zaremba, we told you.
Shock laser.
Up. Zaremba is our hope. Has the hook, has the ability to make the aggressive plays, and it hits Crispo.
That's a fair amount of damage. Now the cannon barrage coming through. Crispo trying to stay best alive as he can. We have actually got some actions, ladies and gentlemen. But Ericsson's still alive. No one's died quite yet until finally a 1-for-1 comes through. Nautilus for Crisberg, Zeri, but Kreox and Merbs are on very much the wrong side of the rift. There's a Meganar coming up for Carlson. Kreox trying to play this one out best he can with the Heartbreaker, but Merbs being left out to the wolves. No flash, no E, no hope. Senkups gets that one, and he's recalling. There's no one on the Vasco, and he won't reset even with the empowered Herald recall. Vanir get the Herald, but at what cost?
I applaud Zaremba. The psychic message has been received because this hook is what starts everything up. We knew that the Nautilus was pretty much the only person who was going to be starting off these fights in any serious way. It's actually a pretty damn good hook. Merbs does a great job, tags the W onto Crisberg during all of this as well, and gets most of Zeri's HP away from them. It's just not enough. The battle lines have already fallen apart. Actually, at this point in the game, before you get multiple points into your various abilities, abilities from Ezreal. You don't have as many Qs to get your E cooldown load. You don't have as many points to E to get your cooldown load. Look, your mobility is basically spent by this point, and Merbs, though they found their way onto that mission into the backline to kill the enemy AD carry, couldn't find a way out.
Oh, that was so close to getting out from Kraox. They thought he was going towards the blast and he tried to fake them out. Couldn't make it happen.
Close the blast doors. Didn't work in that case. Try the Impaired Recall.
Okay.
Needed about
that's upsetting.
15 more parsecs to get out of the... It's not a measurement of time.
I believe the castle run was only 12. Less than. Either way, enough references briefly, as we might actually be having a little more action coming up, more than perhaps we were anticipating with the drafts, as there were 40 seconds until an Ocean Drake spawns, and there's a Herald in inventory, and that might be used as something of a counterweight for Vanir, who, of course, did lose out in the fight that followed that, despite Zaremba finding the initial engage. Perhaps it was a cast a curse that came with that psychic message, because did eventually lose the following fight.
He could be aggressive. I didn't say if he'd win.
Monkey's Paw from Nymera, who gives what it was asked for, but at what cost? As might be in trouble. More action. Zaremba! It's happening as Zaremba is being exhorted to fight and is slain. That's significantly more joy from Nymera that I think is probably healthy, but the Nautilus does fall. Dragon is available. Of course, there is still the Herald inventory. The Kraox is kind of...
Remember, you know, I appreciate the mentality, because this draft should absolutely be one which is probably a little less active than this. If you don't have the Nautilus on the aggressive foot, probably not going to be as active as this. So they lose out on that play again, but helps us.
And Astralis take up another kill. They continue to extend their gold lead. And this is a team that, after a very disappointing spring split, considering expectations for the roster coming in, we are seeing a much, much better performance from them in the split. Particularly in the last week, they started to pull a little bit ahead. They are at that 4-2 record. They're looking to move up to join Bifrost at 5-2 if they can make this happen. And that will put them very much in contention, not just for playoffs, but for making a run in said playoffs if they can keep this momentum
It's going to be very vindicating, right? You make one change to the roster, you change your head coach as well, and then you have now a good run of form. No, it's not been perfect. They did end up getting monstered in particularly one of the losses. I believe it was to Bifrost, where it was a little bit of a shutout through the early game. But this roster is night and day difference from what happened in that spring split. You're absolutely right to bring that up. And so no.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Does have the arcane shift. Will there be a devour? There is, and that's of course no flash still remaining. You can throw an exhaust down, but I'm just not going to find enough. It's a kill for Chrisberg, and that is a big, big mistake. Unfortunately, should have been aware of that, but of course, with the Abyss Dive being blind from the bush, makes it an easy punish. It's the clone that's hooked. The Herald won't get a proper charge, or actually finally just Taxa goes down. Package afterwards, those Kraox trying to trade this one out, looking for another one. Senkox has to flash away for the Heartbreaker. Can't quite secure the kill, but a boulder will do the job.
And sadly, even with Kraox taking on the form of Taxa, the attack of the clone champions is not enough from Vanir to foul Astralis on their own side of that rift. They get the Herald charge. It's a decent amount of gold in, but it's not enough to really get them back into a state in this game. Which, I mean, again, it's fairly even, but even with that, that Herald could have been a big power play for them. Doesn't really lead to the advantages they wanted.
Well, as it stands, we've had more action than I think could have been a possibility in this game. Excellent cancel on the back, and Merbs is justly punished by Kiba, who is that member who's come in to switch the roster around and proving why he was worth.
Actually, really well positioned on the Tarnkash W, puts himself between Ezreal and the tower, gives him that extra room to auto-attack. The E not really able to carry them to a safe distance. And then, of course, this is the Blowers after the mid lane there. See the Wukong clone come out, but Gravity Field does a decent amount of work. Herald Charge actually adds in an extra bit of CC.
Yes.
But, I mean, the other part of this is that you do know the package is there. Again, the warning shot, the warning siren's gone off. They knew it was happening, but maybe didn't pay the respect they needed to that. Maybe they thought they could just win in an isolated 3v2. Didn't expect Carlson to come down. But yeah, package does a decent amount of damage and turns things around a little more in favor of Astralis than maybe it could have been.
Yeah, it's still a net positive trade for Vanir, of course, because they got the plates as well as a kill in trade for just the one kill back. But, you know, it's not as clean as it should have been, I think it's fair to say. And Vanir, 2 and 4, were tied with X7 earlier in the day. Of course, X7 won with relative ease earlier on. It was a strong early game into a slightly slower mid-game, partly because of that sort of snuck Baron that came through, but either way, it was largely a strong showing, particularly from the likes of MC. Vanir, if they want to keep track, need to win this game. And Zaremba once again being exhorted to find more action, more blood for the Blood Guard, Skulls for the Skull Thrones, and we'll change universes briefly.
Whenever I started becoming a Chaos cultist. It's not the timeline I particularly saw myself
let's be real, what have you been, like, trying to push for this entire game?
Very true. This is the thing, right? Like, again, this is a conversation I have every so often. I like good, clean League of Legends. It's a gourmet meal. You get to have all of your balanced nutrients of
cheese for the second
rotations, the cheese for the second course, but you do like some good fast food gameplay every so often, just the absolute to-the-wall aggression.
Teleports.
There's a teleport coming in.
That
It's
counts.
one of those aggressive plays.
And to Meganar, that's pretty much on the board for Carlson as well. And Auto 2 will get it. Merbs being left to the walls. The teleport now coming back through on the side of Vanir. But what more can they get as Carlson slams Azrael into the wall. He belongs not in the museum, but in the morgue. As Zaremba now being left to die as well. A double for Carlson's Nar.
That is a really well-played timing by Astralis. They put down that deep ward. The unlocked teleport comes through. Now Hasira able to at least save that turret, but Astralis doing their best to pull away with this game. They have themselves held in that mid lane. They'll not be able to finish off the entire turret, but a chunk onto it means that if they ever leave this lane again unattended, expect that objective to go down.
Maybe could have been saved when more members were around, but look to be opportunistic. Gets a chunk onto the tower, and here's the teleport. And at that moment, Vanir and the members of the bot lane knew they were in trouble.
And of course, you don't have that flash from Merb still. Again, it's one of the problems with Ezreal. It's all well and good kiting when you're kiting away from someone. If you are flanked, if you're between a Gnar and a hard player setup. It's better if it's a Malphite. Either way, between two threats, your E is not enough. You need several of them. And at this point, you don't have the amount of Qs to get that off of cooldown. It really isn't enough to carry to safety.
There you go. That is very true, as I found the worst of the puns I could find in my brain to bring out to clarify your statement.
I think I'm glad I missed that one.
I said rock and a Gnar place.
Oh, that's even... Oh,
yeah.
How did I think of that?
Well, there you go. You're just not as good as me. Covered that in the news segment earlier.
Let's get you on the jungle clay challenge. Let's knock you down.
Oh, no, don't make me do that. There will be a disaster in the waiting for that one.
3 minutes 30, 3 minutes 27.
Yeah, that's looking more like a 4-minute clear, let's be real. My leasing skills are fairly subpar. Especially when the par for course is like 320 or whatever it is right now.
327, that's what's
So in fairness, we did see one jungler not have smite and the other mess up their clear, MC and Taxa. Not having the best time. Of course, Taxa this game, very much looking pretty on point, all things said and done.
And, you know, particularly with these junglers, which have been players that have been... I mean, when you have the Wukong, you've had a certain amount of draft priority given towards you. Has been such an important champion, this Wukong. Even with nerfs to so many strong champions on the new patch, it has felt like Wukong has continued to be first pick, first ban. And Taxa being given the responsibility to say, take this priority champion, do damage, do work with it, has been pulling his weight.
Got a little bit of a conflation of players in the mid lane, but Croaks will throw down the Harrow path and decide he does not want to be a part of that little... brewing confrontation.
Zaremba, what do we talk about?
My guy, he's like you can't just like mind control the Nautilus into like.
Zaremba, this is Nymera. Pull the hook trigger. Anyway, he's working his way.
Is that like your Obi-Wan impression with like Luke on the Death Star run?
You know, I've actually thought about
use the hook, Zaremba.
Use the hook. Use the hook, Luke. He's turned off his targeting computer. He's not going to hit his skill shots.
Depth charge is point click. You don't need
He's here again. Has himself a hex.
The depth charge counts as a proton torpedo.
You know, the more we're forcing this analogy, the more it just kind of gives me this...
I know, it's giving me a surprising amount of joy. I suppose Corki at 2-1 is probably counts as a Death Star with the amount of damage he's throwing out.
You know, they are currently towards that top lane, which no structures have fallen in. So maybe you can worry about the champions and he can worry about the towers.
Oh no. No.
Niche. Sorry for anyone who doesn't have a photographic memory of various quotes from that series of movies, but do have keep it diving in towards that red buff, smite forced away from Creox. And Creox, even though they have been one of the stronger individual performances, actually in the whole league, I think actually of the first couple of weeks.
He's been afraid of this Tom catch the entire game as he's just been like, every time he's like, no, not again, surely not again.
Give him any more gold and it'll be the size of an Exegorth. That one is very niche. Yeah, look at that one.
That's not the planet, that's the weird...
that's the thing which they fly inside in episode 5. It's the big worm.
The big worm thing in the asteroid. Oh, okay, well, thank you for clarifying. I had a moment that was like, I'm not quite sure. Anyway, Hester has to flash out here as Constant's going to chase in. Never mind, Star Wars.
He fails
It's
it.
just going to be a solo kill. Carlson, 4-0-2, having an absolute stormer of a game.
Oh gosh, just failing the barrel change, but trades out that flash. And Carlson, for all that they were a fairly, I'm not going to say inexperienced, but on a comp level they were.
Yes.
This player in the individual 1v1s has been a shining star for this team, actually throughout the entire year. This individual prowess of Carlson was not something that we really criticized too much. Had a couple of off games when he was put on the weak side of the map, but when he's given these strong matchups, has continued to shine. 4-0-2 now, solo kill involved in that. Carlson, seriously good game so far.
Very much so. 500 gold bounty on top of his name. Definitely a worthy target to pick up if you can get onto the likes of Merbs or Ericsson.
Oh, it's the dive!
See the dive instead. I turn my head for a second to look at my co-commentator, and Chrisberg secures a kill. A Nara into wall because Carlson's there, and that one's picked up by Taxa, who taxes the life bar of Vanir. Krayox now forced away. Hesir does land, or try to land a barrel jam, but doesn't really amount to much. Krayox forced to heartbreaker out. 2 kills and a tower, and Astralis making us eat our words a little bit about a passive game.
That is exactly what I was going to say. And I was just like, hey, you know we were talking about how this could be basically just 2 ranged compositions with low engage, just kind of facing off against each other and staring at each other menacingly. I am so glad Astralis have been pulling TP flanks, have been diving under these towers, have been using the aggressive tools that they do have in efficient ways. It's been actually very fun to watch. We're only 21 minutes in, and actually we have a decent amount of kills for that.
We really do.
We're used to just about maybe 0.5 kills per minute, once every other minute. We're getting above that now, actually, at this point, and I'm glad, for one, that we're not sat here after that draft, after all, we thought, thank you, both these teams.
Well, for once, I'm very happy to be proved wrong. We were all a little bit nervous. We were all a little bit hysterical, perhaps the way to put it is. Ericsson forced to flash out there. Not having the easiest game of it on this Victor. Been a little bit removed from a lot of the plays.
You know, at least we are, of course, getting that aggression, and you know, we were worrying about so much, and now, actually, with that Soul point being on the table early as well, we're almost certainly going to have some big team fights around a Soul or an Elder or a Baron. It's getting to that point where Astralis can force the hand of Vanir. They take that, no contest, and at this point, you have to start asking Vanir, okay, how do you start stabilizing? They've been dove on, they've been not actually been able to disengage the aggressive plays, even though their comp is pretty good at that. You have Gravity Fields, Chaos Storms, Ezreal, Kiting, barrels, Gangplank ult, so many things which say if you dive into us and you mess up, we can punish you. They've actually not been able to do that because Astralis have been choosing their plays, weighting the numbers in their favor so much that it hasn't mattered. They go with so many people to an area of the map, and they can't play out their disengage.
Still, 2 items have started to come through for Vanir, and if they can hold on to something like a 3rd item, Cesar manages to escape from the attempted engage, but you've got a Death Cap and a Leandries on this Victor. You've got a Muramana and an Essence Reaver in Merb's pockets. If you can secure a 3rd item here, something like a Void Staff for the Victor, or maybe something like maybe a Zhonya's to survive some of the dive, and similarly something additional for Merbs, they're going to start hitting pretty hard. They are actually dangerous scaling carries here, and that 3rd item comes through, and Astralis may start to sweat a little more than they have in this early game.
You're actually getting to the point where a lucky crit from a Gangplank Barrel, a bit of uptime on auto-attacks and keys from Merbs, or of course just a Chaos Storm in the right position, and suddenly you start clumping up into the wrong carries, and Astralis are not safe in this game. Now, they are still very, very overwhelmingly likely to close out this game in my eyes right now. They've hit those item breakpoints fairly well. I think, you know, with that Dragon advantage too, it just means that they, as long as their heads are screwed on straight when it comes up to these objectives, they should be able to force Vanir to come into them, which is not really where they want to play. Just need to see Astralis' decision-making, be calm, be confident, make sure that they don't allow Vanir's carries to really come into the slim situations where they should succeed.
Vanir, though, trying their very best to stall out this game. The early moments of action from that kind of herald to the 20-minute mark have slowed down over the last few minutes. There's a lot of those easier objectives for Astralis to gather, namely those outer towers have gone. They're waiting really potentially for this soul fight in 3 minutes, and Vanir are doing their very best to take control of the Baron pit and the upper river and trade.
So, going towards their mid-prio.
Wait. This is actually a little bit more action as Zero in danger. Finds himself on the end of an abyssal dive. Trying the very best sail out the cannon barrage coming through. And the gangplank's alive. The turnaround's starting to come through. Carlson doing their very best, but Kiba into the cannon barrage, trying to stay alive as well. He will. Tax's clone being chunked up, and Taxa gets devoured. And somehow, someway, no one is dead. Wait, Merbs! Went looking for it, couldn't find it with the flash.
And that was very, very dangerous from Astralis. What did we say? Don't give Vanir the ability to play the kite back, play around their carries. And while we were saying, look, honestly, the way the map's been set up, it feels like Astralis should be closing out. They should be able to force Vanir away from their comfort zones, their composition. Immediately after we say that, the next fight they take is the wrong one.
And they lost so many summoners. Taxa, Senkux, Crispberg, Kiba, all down flash from that play.
They lose. Mid lane out of turret. That's an objective bounty. That's control of the map. 2 minutes left on the mountain dragon spawn as well. Means that Vanir can potentially reset, push in with that an extra ability to push that mid-wave through onto the other side of the map and get themselves into a more advantageous position than they probably should have been have had access to. Words are hard.
They are a little bit, and what could also be a little bit dangerous and hard to deal with would be corky rockets like that. But also, I'm looking at Victor, I'm looking at Ericsson, who is a completion cost away from a Void Staff in inventory. Can he get there before the Dragon's on the table?
But also, you're looking at Ravenous Hydra almost coming from Senkux. Senkux, you've got the Infinity Edge waiting a couple of 100 gold away from Crispberg. And they, of course, are huge poke champions. They play at range. Not sure if Vanir can really threaten that. However, looks like we could have that objective trade again. Dragon for Baron. Vanir starting it up. Vision from Astralis, though. They're coming to contest.
It's not just Dragon, it's Soul, but they know they want to try and fight before the item completions come through. Down to 6,000 HP, it's already low. Taxes around, they're going to try and turn. It's onto the clone, though, and Zaremba taken so low, that hook, that curse you laid on him earlier. Coming back to bite him as Carlson, nearly a mega! Sankux deletes the Nautilus, he dives down deep into the abyss. He's dead to rights, and now Vanir are down a member, and the Baron's alive, and the Dragon's about to follow, and I think that might be it.
That was a gambit from Vanir. They tried to play the savvy hand, say, okay, let's go get this off of the cooldown of that Dragon, see if we can play around the vision, maybe sneak it away as we've seen other teams do earlier in the day, but they don't quite land the punch. Clone comes out from Taxa again, tanks up that hook from Zaremba. Zaremba is not a tanky Nautilus. Goes down, Vanir not able to play around their effective ranges, and Astralis confidently pick up that kill, see themselves through that Soul.
They do indeed. There's the Soul, there's no way really to fight it, and
I was wondering actually if there was enough DPS on the top side of the map to deal with that, but it's not going to be the case. Just some vision cleared out from Zero, and now Vanir lose out on that play in quite a huge way, even though they were handed potential openings from that earlier mid lane fight, and even though there weren't as many kills from that fight, it was just the case where they had potentially better setup, and now they're finding themselves into that Mount Soul, into that slim gold lead at this point in the game. They're not feeling too comfortable now.
No, Vanir do now secure themselves a Void Staff in the inventory of Ericsson's Victor. And Merbs is pretty close to becoming a courier, sending Lord Dominic's regards on their way if they can just secure the completion.
Let them know. I want them to know it was me. We're really hitting on all the
just general pulp nerd references. We've not done any Marvel ones. That's about it so far.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there is a point. It's like, how far do we have to go before we start pondering our morb?
I don't think anyone's really morbed out in this game, and I'm yet to hit that point where that's kind of really become a thing.
We've got Merb. We can
we Merb out. No, Merbius.
Let's go.
Well, he has not got a Cyril to scrunch. It's not a Lord Dominic's regards. It's a grudge.
I'm so sorry if you have to listen back to this. We are really clutching at straws for really insane references, but that Ezreal hitting that 3 items, have to keep an eye on that carry on the bot side of the map from Vanir.
I don't know. The problem is I'm never going to be able to look at Merbs the same way again now. I'm so sorry. At least for the rest of this game.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. We'll work on that. We'll workshop it. We'll see what happens with it.
It's just waiting for Merbius too. That's all it is.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? See if they can sweep that fight away. Astralis have that Soul, able to tank up a bit of poke, even if those Ezreal Qs land with that Mountain Shield. Taxa going towards that Baron, immediately spotted out by a blue trinket. Now we have all members coalescing
It's that time of day. It's time to flip the Baron, and we're going to see whether Astralis can hold on. Crayox has got Heartbreaker but no flash. It's a good cannon barrage that will force Astralis away for now. Looking potentially for a turn, but won't really be able to find it. 4 minutes until a potential Elder Dragon spawn. That's about it.
That's the cannon barrage down. You've now just regened that man's shield. And you are very, very happy to go straight back to this. That's one fighting tool now no longer available for Vanir. They still need to make this approach. Carlson.
Gonna go in. That's a Cyclone as Zaremba flashes away. Crispberg over the wall with the lightning surge. But the crash down is so much problem. There is a Devour and a rocket secures the kill. Now that's what I call team fighting. Taxa goes on in and continues to swing through them all. It's a Buntareve classic as the bounties are being secured as best they can.
You can only do that because you have a mounted soul and you have a shield bow and you have a Tom Kench. That is ridiculous amounts of safety. I was sat there watching going, what the heck are you doing? That's way too deep. You're diving into the Victor. It's the one place they can really turn this around, but try as they might, throw themselves into death's mouth and they do come out alive. Get the power play on top of it, come out with a clean team fight, clean Baron take, lose no one for it.
I mean, I would potentially say not clean. I'll call it effective.
Okay, deathless. That's
clean.
the word.
As we do see the engage come through, and it was decently buffed from Zaremba, but then Crispberg just goes all in.
This is ridiculous, because one of the reasons why Victor was seen as a good answer into this area is because you can do that. You dive into the Victor, you start doing damage, and he just mullers you. He absolutely turns you into mush. But at this point, even with level 16, huge itemization from Ericsson is not enough at that point, and credit to Crispberg, I didn't believe it when I saw it. Gets away with it.
Just about. That's the stopwatch broken as well. Third item finally complete for Hess Zero, who, with that collector, maybe can try and secure the kill that was denied from them there with the timely flash devout from Kiba. But now with the Baron in inventory, Astralis continuing to shove in with the soul, with the gold lead, with the map control. As my days, 3-item Corki pretty much takes 2/3 of Merm's health bar in one ability.
You may fire when ready, and actually, you know what? If Crispberg lands a W on top of that as well, that probably is that laser you're looking for. And forget the Victor on that E. On this patch in particular, Zeri's W, because it can crit, because it gets amped up by Infinity Edges, crit damage too, becomes so ridiculous. However, while this is happening, we're looking at this damage happening in this large amount of siege being pulled off from Astralis Talon. GP has at least managed to get an objective bounty on the other side. Is it enough? You're losing 3+ towers for this. It is pennies in the bucket of the deficit that they're trying to recoup from.
Very much so. As Crispberg now onto this inhibitor. So slippery, so safe with Kiba behind them as well. One is down. That inhibitor turret in the bot lane. Under siege as well. One final cannon minion remaining as Crayox. Stepping forward, looking to see if they get on Senkux. Battle station may be fully operational, but maybe has a weakness or two to be exploited if they can just get on top of the core keeper. Crayox won't pull the trigger. And Vanir, they're bleeding out. They need to find something, or it's going to be lights out very shortly.
And while we did see that, Zero found some ways to play the map. Turrets going down across the board. Astralis playing around that extended range. They don't have to force the engage. They've got those W's, got those rockets. Vanir clutching at straws yet again. Where can they find the engage? There's one final effort left in them. They have to find something, maybe a barrel, maybe Chaos Storm in the right place. Vanir, though, odds are against them. It goes even lower when Merv takes poke like that.
Astralis are now here to finish the fight best they can. Going to put in another massive rocket. The barrage from Senkux is just monumental. It's world-ending. It'll certainly be game-ending as Merv's taken down to 10% HP this time. No one dead, but the structures are falling. Astralis looking to end it, looking to move to 5-2, looking to tie up with Bifrost. Crayox will go unstoppable, but not as unstoppable as Astralis are in their rise up the table. Nexus under siege, and Astralis secure their 5th win of the summer split.
They go to pump up those DPM numbers. Make sure they can get a little bit more up on those stats boards, but 5-2 now for Astralis.